Hello everyone, this course is entitled Introduction to Refining and Petrochemistry, designed for second year licensed process engineering students and presented by TEDJANI Mohammed, a doctor in Al University. Chapter 1. In this chapter, we will learn about the formation and exploitation of oil and natural gas. Petroleum word is a Latin word composed of two words, petra and oleum, which is oil stone. Its color is ranged from yellow to black, depends on the petroleum characteristics. Petroleum is mainly composed of carbon and hydrogen, and it has a very small fraction of other molecules. Petroleum is composed from organic matter and they are transformed to the known petroleum in its known liquid. We will discuss this in the next slides. In our life, we can find petroleum in many phases or in many formats. We can find it in the liquid form as the crude oil. We can find it in the gases form as natural gas, and sometimes we can find it as solid form as the asphalt example. Origin of petroleum. Petroleum basically is formed from organic matter, where animals and plants are converted over millions of years from saprolol to kerosene to petroleum to its known form, liquid. For example, we can see in this image how petroleum and natural gas were formed, where tiny sea plants and animals died and were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, they were covered by layers of sediment and rocks. Over millions of years, the remains were buried deeper and deeper. With the effect of heat and pressure, they are turned into oil and gas. Today, we drill down through the layers of sedimentary rock to reach the rock formation that contains oil and gas deposits. The formation of petroleum deposits. Petroleum forms in the porous resource rock from buried organic matter under heat and pressure. Oil and gas migrates upward through permeable layer until trapped beneath an impermeable layer which calls caprock. Water and gas separated by density within the reservoir. Classification of petroleum. We can classify petroleum based on three classifications with the geographical origin, viscosity, and sulfur content. The most commonly classifications are from viscosity and sulfur content. From the geographical origin, we can classify the petroleum based on its origin, like Algeria petroleum, Venezuela petroleum, Nigeria petroleum, etc. For the viscosity, we can classify the petroleum from the light petroleum to the heavy petroleum based on their viscosity. And we can classify petroleum based on its sulfur content. The high sulfur content petroleum is called sour oil, meanwhile the lower content of sulfur called sweet oil. The characteristics of oil deposit. The oil deposit is composed of source rock, permeable reservoir rock, and impermeable rock, which is called the cap rock. This reservoir holds the oil and gas beneath the cap rock and upper water. Oil deposit and exploitation. Exploration of oil deposits. The exploration of oil deposit is done by two methods. by geologists and geophysics. The geologists are concerned about soil and rocks, meanwhile the geophysics study in-depth meanwhile geophysics make in-depth study geological layers. Methods of prospecting oil. We have the most common method is the geophysical prospecting, which is the seismic method. In the seismic method, we have a seismic resource that generates sound waves. These sound waves are have reflected wave path. This reflected wave path is collected by geophones, and the data from these geophones are collected in the data collection center. This data is after that analyzed and explained to know more about the rock layers and the reservoir and the oil deposits. Lead drilling methods. Drilling rig units. In this image we can see Hassim Saud drilling rig. The most important part in this drilling rig is the drilling bit or tree core. This head is used to drill the earth layers. We can see this section. This section we use the drilling fluid, which is called also drilling mud. This mud helps to drill the earth layers, and the cuttings are pushed out using drilling fluid. Thank you for your attention. The next session will be announced soon. Is there any questions?